Folks, we have a real problem with this OS age verification thing. So there's a federal law now, and I was just going to keep quiet until things got to this point, and they've gotten to this point. And I think it's really important that I emphasize that verification is the key word here. If the OS just asked you, oh, what age bracket are you in? All the teens that want to look at naked ladies are just going to punch in, oh, I was born January 1st, 1980. Whatever. Done. Thanks. I've got full access to everything. So now the federal law and some of these state laws have wording that requires actual reasonable or commercially reasonable verification is the phrase that I've seen. And there's a cautionary tale from the early 2000s about this. A guy who writes for one of those PC magazines back in the 2000s, so this was a long time ago, but this is after Windows XP introduced product activation, either online or by telephone, for Windows XP, and then subsequently Office 2003. Well, take a wild guess what happened. This guy, he's going to work on an article on his flight across the country. He gets up in the air. He's 30,000 feet in the air. There's no such thing as in-flight Wi-Fi. And he goes to open his laptop and type his article, and Office deactivates. Now he can't type his article. So he was unable to work on his article for this long-distance flight, pretty much hosing all of the utility that he had because Office 2003 could not phone home to some Microsoft server and get permission to let the journalist type his article about computer whatever back then. So he actually instead wrote an article about what happened with that. That's what's going to happen with age verification. The problem a lot of people have today is internet access is so ubiquitous, especially high-speed access, in so many areas that people kind of get lazy and stupid about it. They don't actually think about the fact that, hey, wait a minute, I'm filming this April 15th, tax day of 2026, but back February 20th, this is only not even 2 months ago. Cloudflare had a hiccup, which, by the way, was caused by rewriting it in Rust. But Cloudflare had a major hiccup that caused a huge portion of the internet to just go out. So guess what happens if you have a device that requires age verification, not asking you, but actually verifying that you're not lying about your age, which probably means turning over your driver's license, having some AI face scanner capture a 3D scan of your face, things like that. Guess what happens when those servers go down because some guy at Cloudflare rewrote it in Rust? Your phone doesn't work anymore. Your computer doesn't work anymore until Cloudflare gets their stuff together and the third-party provider is actually able to provide their services again. Guess what happens if you have a hiccup with, say, your phone billing, or your SIM card goes out, or any number of other things? Oh, we can't reach the server. I guess you can't use your phone. You can't even look at your own pictures because we can't make sure that you're old enough to use the app on your phone, and there could be pictures in there that you're not supposed to see, so whatever. The quagmire is so deep. And mind you, this is not a political video at this point. This is a pure technological point of failure warning. I warned you a long, long time ago that Windows 11 must be stopped. And that video really was sort of a stealth offering of the entire history of the Trusted Platform Module and the Trusted Computing Group, TCPA and Palladium, and all this stuff that's been in the works since the early 2000s, where they're trying to lock down your devices and control them and be able to trust the device against the user rather than the user being the one in control of security and trust on their own purchased, owned hardware. Now, there are arguments to be made for First and Fourth Amendment violations here, but I'm going to avoid that for right now and just point out the obvious. Internet connectivity is not reliable. If you think it is, you're wrong. Because if it works for you 99% of the time, there's that 1% of the time. And it doesn't take very long for you to be disconnected, for you to realize, oh wait, this is actually really inconvenient. All of a sudden, I can't do a bunch of things. In fact, here's what I want you to do. This video is a call to action for all of you. On your phone, put your phone in airplane mode with no Wi-Fi connection. On your tablet, same thing. On your laptop or your desktop or whatever, unplug the Ethernet cable or unplug the modem. In fact, if you're at home, unplug the power to your modem and or router. If you're on your phone, put it in airplane mode. Now, if you've unplugged your internet modem and router, and you've put all your devices in airplane mode so they're not connected to a cellular network, now try to do something. Try to do something that you think you should be able to do offline. Anything that you can't do right now with this disconnected state, you don't own. It is not actually yours. It's controlled by someone else. It's controlled by a third-party service. It's reliant on a third-party service. We have grown far too accustomed to the convenience of essentially always-on, high-speed, ubiquitous internet access, but it is not 100% reliable. And if something bad happens somewhere, like Cloudflare just has an embarrassing fart, and suddenly all their servers just stop serving, which happened 2 months ago, I will remind you, yeah, you're locked out. What good is it? What good is any of this crap? Look at all this stuff behind me. What good is any of this stuff if it requires an internet connection and I'm here in an unpowered storage unit? The answer is it's not. It's complete and total garbage. These are very, very fancy bricks, and that's all there is to it. If it requires an internet connection and you don't have one, it is nothing more than a pebble. And that's the ultimate problem with OS age verification laws, is that the verification part requires access to a third-party service, and that third-party service is a point of failure. You need to think about the points of failure for things in your life, because if they fail, how royally screwed are you? That's really important, and too many people just never even think about it. They go about their day going, oh, everything will be fine. But as soon as Congress gets some law passed that says your phone has to verify that you are the age you say you are, suddenly now, if Cloudflare has a cough, it's not that, well, you can still do all your offline things. No, now you're not even allowed in, because merely using the device at all requires verification. Now, just to make this worse, what is an operating system? See, my phone has an operating system, but here's where we have a problem, okay? My cameras have an operating system. My car, the head unit has one operating system. The engine control unit has another. The RAID controller in a server has an operating system. The network card has an operating system. That's what firmware is. It is a specialized operating system that runs on that device. Almost every piece of equipment that has a chip that does anything other than dumb Boolean logic has an operating system on it. Technically, a lot of these laws make you in violation if you sell someone a network card or a RAID controller or even a hard drive. Hard drive controllers have operating systems on them. And you, as a vendor of a hard drive or an SSD controller, whatever, are in violation of the law simply by selling me a drive and not having that drive, which has no method of input and output other than the motherboard talking to it, by the way. If that drive can't verify my age, then it's not supposed to be providing any information to me. So I'm really tired of people who don't even remotely understand technology, making laws and regulations and rules that define how we use technology. It really just has to stop, because this stuff is ridiculous. I mean, anybody who has used a computer and has had an internet connection drop can understand why this is really, really unfathomably stupid. It just doesn't make any sense. The problem is, it makes a lot of sense to this, for some reason, bipartisan bills everywhere, unanimous votes in favor everywhere, awfully suspicious to me, to be perfectly honest. But for some reason, it makes sense to all these people. Yet, if you actually put it into practice, it makes no sense whatsoever. There is no way that it can be enforced without completely wrecking everything that you think is convenient about your device. So yeah, take this warning how you will. But I'm done. I'm going to tell you right now, any of this operating system law crap, I'm simply never going to comply with it. I'll work around it. I'll hack it. I'll provide hacks to anybody else who also happens to want to work around it, because when something is this fundamentally broken and foolish, you are obligated to not comply with it. This is like the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs, except the dinosaurs are the ones launching the asteroid, and they're launching it at everybody else. And you know the worst part? The people who are passing these laws are probably the ones that are going to be the most affected by it. Because as soon as they get on a plane or they go vacation somewhere that's away from all of us, not, amazingly wealthy, prestigious, that out of their inner circle, their nifty little secluded cabin in the mountains, and they have an internet access issue, they won't be able to make phone calls. They won't be able to get on the internet through their phone because they'll need to do age verification stuff, and there's no signal out there, so they do everything through an internet connection. They're going to get hit with it, and it'll be way too late by then. They will have already laid the infrastructure to hose everything. This is just like the breathalyzer in cars thing, which is a very grossly unproven technology, yet for some reason Congress says, oh no, we definitely need to put that in cars. Well, if you're in trouble, you need to be able to get in your car and leave even if you're drunk. Like if guys are chasing you and they're going to hurt you, you need to leave. And you don't need your car to say, I'm sorry, Dave, but I can't do that. Now get beaten to death. It's just, I got to be honest, and sometimes I think these people just hate you, hate all of us. Because if you think these things through to their logical conclusions, there's no other way to feel about this. I think they hate us. I really do. And the worst part is they don't realize that they're taking this, for lack of a better analogy coming to the top of my head, they're taking this shotgun that they're pointing at us, and they don't realize that it's like some kind of 180-degree wide field shotgun they've invented that's going to shoot everybody in the foot, not just us. They're going to get it in the foot just as bad. I don't understand. But, maybe the problem is that maybe they're being paid by somebody else to not understand. I have no idea. I'll leave that exercise for you, the viewer, to think through and figure out. But purely from just a reliability perspective, an uptime perspective, just being able to use something that you quite literally pay for and own perspective, this OS age verification stuff is beyond a disaster. It's like a nuke just being dropped into the world of technology, and the world's run by technology. This will not end well. I really do not like seeing people go through this stuff. I don't know. Too many people suffer at the hands of fools that make bad rules, that don't understand what they're dealing with before they go flipping switches or pulling the pins out of the grenades going, oh, now it works! Boom! I have to go. It's just, whatever. Let me know how the Intel Management Engine's Minix operating system is going to verify my age, okay? Considering it operates pre-boot. I'd love to know that. Yeah, let me know, all right? I gotta go. Bye.